In the unforgiving landscapes of the Old West, where vengeance often shaped lives more than forgiveness, a story unfolded that challenged every expectation. A woman, burdened by grief and the scars of loss, made a choice that defied the harsh codes of her time. She took in the child of the man who had killed her husband, a gesture so bold, so filled with courage, that it would ripple through the lives of all involved. What began as an act of unimaginable mercy would grow into a bond so powerful that, 1 year later, the child who once carried the weight of tragedy would call her mother. The community watched in disbelief, whispers spreading like wildfire. How could a woman open her heart to the child of her enemy? Yet, beneath the veil of judgment lay a deeper truth, a testament to the strength of compassion and the unbreakable power of love that can heal even the deepest wounds. This story is not one of revenge, but of redemption, of breaking cycles of hatred and forging a new path through kindness and acceptance. In a world where survival often meant hardening the heart, her choice was a radical act of defiance, a challenge to the bitter ways that had long ruled the West. The child, once marked by loss and fear, found in her a sanctuary, a chance at a family born not from blood, but from the courageous embrace of forgiveness. Their journey together would test the limits of both pain and hope, teaching a profound lesson about what it truly means to be family. As the sun set over the rugged hills, casting long shadows over a land shaped by violence and redemption alike, this woman's story beckons us to reflect on the power of mercy in the face of cruelty. It invites us to question our own capacity for forgiveness and the unexpected ways love can transform lives. What happened in the year that followed would prove that even in the wildest frontiers, the heart can find a way to heal and grow. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is more than a story. It is a powerful journey through grief, courage, and the extraordinary strength found in choosing love over hate in the unforgiving West. The woman, named Clara, was no stranger to pain. The memory of her husband's death weighed heavily on her soul, a loss carved deep by violence and betrayal. Yet, in the midst of her grief, she faced a decision that would defy the bitter codes of the frontier. When the child of her husband's killer appeared at her doorstep, innocent and vulnerable, Clara chose compassion over vengeance. She saw not an enemy, but a fragile life that deserved love and protection. This decision would ripple far beyond that moment, setting in motion a story of courage and unexpected family ties that few could have foreseen. Clara's neighbors whispered and watched warily, questioning her strength and resolve. Taking in the child of a murderer was not only dangerous, but unheard of in a world ruled by harsh justice and unforgiving grudges. Yet, Clara was guided by a quiet conviction, a belief that hatred only bred more suffering. In her modest home, she welcomed the boy with open arms, offering warmth and safety where none had existed before. Their days together were filled with small, tender moments that gradually softened the edges of their pain, weaving a fragile bond of trust and hope. The boy, named Samuel, was wary at first, haunted by the shadow of his father's actions and the weight of blame cast upon him. But Clara's kindness chipped away at his fear, revealing a gentle spirit hungry for connection. Slowly, he learned to call her mother, not out of obligation, but from a growing sense of belonging and love. Their journey was one of healing, both for Clara's broken heart and Samuel's lost innocence. Each day brought new challenges, but also the promise of a future rewritten by mercy and courage. In the surrounding town, reactions ranged from disbelief to admiration. Clara's act was seen by some as madness, by others as a beacon of hope. Her story began to change the narrative of the West, showing that even in a land marked by violence, compassion could create families and heal wounds that seemed beyond repair. It was a living testament that the true strength of a person lay not in their capacity for revenge, but in their ability to forgive and embrace the vulnerable. As the seasons changed, Clara and Samuel's bond deepened, becoming a source of strength and resilience for both. Their story was a quiet rebellion against the harshness of their world, a reminder that love, no matter how unexpected, could bloom in the most unlikely of places. What followed would prove that family is not defined solely by blood, but by the choices we make to protect and nurture one another. The first year of Samuel's life with Clara was marked by both joy and struggle. Clara worked tirelessly to provide for them, facing the harsh realities of frontier life with unyielding determination. She taught Samuel not just the skills to survive, but the values of kindness, courage, and forgiveness. Their home, once filled with grief and loss, slowly transformed into a sanctuary of hope and renewal. Each night, as the prairie winds whispered outside their small cabin, they found comfort in each other's presence, their bond growing stronger against the odds. The town, initially skeptical, began to soften as they witnessed the changes in Samuel. The boy who was once a symbol of tragedy became a living testament to the power of mercy. Neighbors who had distanced themselves now offered help and support, inspired by Clara's unwavering commitment. Gifts arrived at their door: food, clothing, and words of encouragement, small gestures that fueled the growing sense of community. Clara's courage had sparked not only a family, but a movement of compassion that challenged the harshness of the Old West. Yet, beneath this fragile peace, danger still lurked. The memory of Samuel's father cast long shadows, and enemies who held grudges saw the boy's presence as a provocation. Threats and warnings came in hushed tones, testing Clara's resolve. But she stood firm, her love for Samuel transforming fear into fierce protection. The woman who had once been broken by loss now stood as a guardian, ready to defend the family she had chosen against any threat that might come. Samuel himself grew into a boy of strength and quiet wisdom, shaped not by his father's sins, but by Clara's love and guidance. He learned the value of forgiveness, not as weakness, but as a courageous choice that demanded the greatest strength. Their story became a beacon for others who struggled with loss and hatred, a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal when met with compassion and understanding. As the year drew to a close, Clara and Samuel prepared to face whatever the future held, united not by blood, but by a bond forged through love and sacrifice. Their journey was far from over, but they faced it with hearts full of hope and the unshakable knowledge that family is built through kindness and courage, even in the unforgiving wilds of the West. As the months unfolded, Clara and Samuel's small world expanded beyond the cabin walls. The once skeptical town began to witness a transformation, not only in the boy, but in the very fabric of their community. Clara's unwavering love and Samuel's growing strength inspired others to question old grudges and hardened hearts. Their story whispered through the saloons and dusty streets, challenging the bitter cycle of vengeance that had long gripped the frontier. Slowly, neighbors reached out with open hands, their skepticism melting into cautious friendship as the true power of forgiveness began to take root. Despite the healing, shadows from the past loomed large. Samuel's father's enemies, men fueled by rage and bloodlust, saw his presence as a provocation, a reminder of pain they refused to forget. Threats surfaced in the dead of night, and Clara found herself standing watch, fierce and vigilant, determined to protect the boy who had become her son. The dangers of the Old West were relentless, but Clara's courage burned brighter than any fear. She was no longer a grieving widow. She was a warrior in her own right, armed with love and unbreakable resolve. Samuel, growing into a young boy, absorbed the lessons of survival and kindness alike. He learned the value of strength tempered by mercy, understanding that true power came not from the gun, but from the heart. With Clara's guidance, he began to forge his own path, one that would honor his past without being defined by it. Their home, once shadowed by tragedy, became a place of hope and possibility, a sanctuary where the future was shaped by the choices they made each day. The bond between Clara and Samuel was tested repeatedly, not only by external threats, but by the weight of their shared history. Yet every challenge only deepened their connection, proving that family transcends blood and is instead forged by unwavering commitment and sacrifice. Together, they navigated the complexities of grief and forgiveness, embodying a powerful truth that even the deepest wounds can give way to new beginnings. As the seasons turned, their story grew stronger, carried by the winds that swept across the endless plains, a testament to the enduring power of love in the face of loss, and a beacon of hope for all who dared to believe in the possibility of redemption. 1 year after that fateful day, when Clara opened her home and heart to Samuel, a moment arrived that would forever seal their bond. On a quiet evening beneath a vast sky dusted with stars, Samuel, now transformed from a frightened child into a young man of courage and grace, looked upon Clara with eyes filled with gratitude and affection. With a voice steady and sure, he called her mother for the first time, not as a mere word, but as a profound declaration of love and belonging. That single word carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken emotions, bridging the gap between past sorrows and future hopes. The community, having witnessed their journey, celebrated this moment as a triumph over the bitter divisions that had once ruled the land. Clara's act of mercy had blossomed into a family stronger than many born of bloodlines. It was a story that rippled beyond their homestead, inspiring others to reconsider what it meant to forgive and to love. In a world where survival often demanded hardness, Clara and Samuel's bond was a quiet rebellion, proof that compassion and courage could rewrite even the darkest chapters. But their journey was far from over. The West was unforgiving, and threats still lurked in the shadows. Yet Clara and Samuel faced each new day with a resilience born from their shared past and a faith forged in love. Together, they stood ready to protect their family and community, not with hatred or vengeance, but with the enduring power of mercy and trust. Their story serves as a timeless reminder that family is not defined solely by blood or circumstance, but by the choices we make to love and protect one another. It teaches us that even in a world scarred by violence, there is room for healing and hope, if only we have the courage to embrace it. As the sun rose on their shared future, Clara and Samuel walked forward hand in hand, a testament to the extraordinary strength found in forgiveness and the unbreakable bonds of chosen family. The seasons shifted, and with them, Clara and Samuel's bond deepened, growing stronger in the face of every challenge that the frontier threw their way. Clara, once broken by grief, found renewed purpose in nurturing the boy who had become her son, teaching him not only the practical skills to survive, but the values of kindness, strength, and forgiveness. Samuel flourished under her care, his once frightened eyes now shining with determination and hope. Their home, once shadowed by tragedy, was filled with laughter and light, a sanctuary carved out of the wild, unforgiving landscape of the West. As their family grew closer, so too did the community around them. The story of the woman who took in the child of her husband's killer began to spread beyond the borders of their small town, inspiring whispers of change and healing. Neighbors who had long held grudges found themselves moved by Clara's courage, and slowly, old wounds began to mend. Gifts and gestures of goodwill appeared at their doorstep. Food, tools, and simple tokens that spoke volumes of a community learning to embrace compassion over revenge. The fence that surrounded their homestead became a symbol of that transformation, lined with reminders of shared humanity. Yet the West remained a land of harsh realities, and danger still lurked beyond the horizon. Threats from those who refused to let go of past hatreds tested Clara and Samuel's resolve. Bandits and rival families eyed their farm with jealousy and malice, hoping to shatter the fragile peace they had built. But Clara's fierce protectiveness and Samuel's growing strength stood as a bulwark against those who sought to sow discord. Together, they faced these threats not with bitterness, but with a steadfast commitment to protect their family and the community they had helped forge. Amidst the struggles, moments of profound tenderness and hope emerged. Clara watched Samuel as he grew into a young man who embodied the very virtues she had fought to instill: courage, honor, and an open heart. Their shared journey was a testament to the power of chosen family and the extraordinary ways that love can heal even the deepest wounds. In a land marked by violence and loss, their story became a beacon of light, reminding all who heard it that redemption is possible and that the future can be shaped by mercy. As twilight settled over the prairie, casting a golden glow across their homestead, Clara and Samuel stood side by side, ready to face whatever the Wild West would bring next. Their journey had not been easy, but it was theirs, a story written in courage, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds that make a family. The following year brought both trials and triumphs, as Clara and Samuel's family faced the realities of frontier life with unwavering resolve. The boy who had once been defined by the sins of his father had become a young man defined by his own choices, choices rooted in forgiveness, love, and strength. Together, they worked the land, built their home, and nurtured a community that had begun to rally around them, drawn by the powerful example of compassion and resilience they embodied. Challenges continued to test their bond. Rival families and old enemies saw the rising influence of Clara and Samuel's homestead as a threat to their own power and sought to undermine their peace. Conflicts arose, alliances were tested, and the harshness of the West made every victory hard-won. Yet, through every battle, every confrontation, Clara and Samuel stood firm, united by a love that had transcended tragedy and forged a new path forward. The story of the woman who took in the child of her husband's killer was no longer whispered in disbelief, but told with reverence and hope. It was a story of redemption that touched hearts far beyond their own land, inspiring others to look past hatred and find strength in forgiveness. Clara and Samuel's journey became a symbol of what was possible when courage met mercy, a reminder that even in the darkest of places, light could prevail. Their home, surrounded by friends and neighbors who had become family, thrived as a sanctuary of hope in a wild and uncertain world. The fence that had once marked a boundary now stood as a testament to the power of human connection, each post and rail a reminder of the bonds that could heal, protect, and endure. Together, Clara and Samuel had rewritten their story, turning loss into legacy. As the sun set on another day of hard work and quiet triumph, Clara and Samuel looked toward the horizon with hope and determination. Their journey was far from over, but they faced it with hearts full of love and the unshakable belief that family is what we choose, built on mercy, courage, and the strength to forgive. As the seasons turned, Clara and Samuel's home became a beacon of hope amidst the wild and unforgiving frontier. Their story, once whispered with skepticism, now inspired a community that slowly began to heal from generations of pain and distrust. Neighbors who had once kept their distance found themselves drawn by the strength of the bond between Clara and Samuel, a bond forged not by blood, but by choice, courage, and compassion. The homestead flourished, not only in crops and cattle, but in the spirit of unity that spread through the plains like wildfire. Clara, having faced unimaginable loss and grief, found renewed purpose in nurturing this family she had chosen against all odds. Her love for Samuel was fierce and unyielding, a shield against the harsh realities that surrounded them. She taught him the values of resilience, forgiveness, and honor, the very qualities that had sustained her through the darkest times. Together, they rebuilt a life filled with moments of joy and the quiet triumphs of everyday survival, proving that even the most broken hearts can heal when given a chance. Yet, the West remained a place of constant challenges. Rival factions and those bound by old grudges eyed Clara and Samuel's growing influence with suspicion and hostility. Threats loomed like storms on the horizon, forcing them to remain vigilant. But where others saw danger, Clara and Samuel saw an opportunity to stand firm, not with bitterness or hate, but with the unshakable conviction that mercy and strength could coexist. Their community, bound by shared trials and triumphs, prepared to face whatever came with a fierce loyalty born from their shared history. Samuel, now a young man shaped by love and loss, began to take on a leadership role within the community. His journey from a frightened child to a figure of hope and courage was a testament to the power of second chances. He embodied the values Clara had instilled in him and carried forward the legacy of forgiveness that had brought them together. His strength was not only in his hands, but in his heart, inspiring those around him to believe in a future beyond revenge. Under the vast, open skies of the West, Clara and Samuel's story continued to unfold, a powerful narrative of healing, courage, and the enduring bonds that make a family. Their home was no longer just a refuge, but a symbol of what can be achieved when love conquers hate and mercy overcomes fear. With the coming of a harsh winter, Clara and Samuel faced their most daunting challenges yet. The biting cold and unforgiving storms tested the limits of their resilience, threatening the very survival of their homestead and community. Supplies dwindled, and the isolation of the frontier pressed in on them like never before. Yet in the face of adversity, the bonds forged through love and forgiveness became their greatest strength. Together with their neighbors, they shared resources, stories, and hope, proving that unity could withstand even the harshest elements. The past, however, was never far behind. Rival families still nursed old wounds, seeking to exploit any sign of weakness. A series of tense encounters reminded Clara and Samuel that peace on the frontier was fragile and often fleeting. But each threat only strengthened their resolve. They fought not with hatred, but with the power of their shared commitment to protect, to forgive, and to build a legacy that transcended the violence that had once defined their world. Throughout the long winter nights, Clara found solace in the quiet moments with Samuel, watching the fire flicker, sharing stories, and planning for the future they hoped to create. Those moments were a testament to the healing power of family, whether born of blood or chosen by heart. Their story became a light in the darkness, a reminder that even in the coldest times, love and mercy could kindle a warmth that no storm could extinguish. As the snows melted and spring approached once again, the community emerged stronger, united by the trials they had overcome. Clara and Samuel's home stood as a testament to their journey, a place where forgiveness had transformed grief into hope, and where the unbreakable bonds of chosen family flourished amid the wild landscape. Their story, whispered through the canyons and valleys, continues to inspire those who hear it, a powerful reminder that even in the toughest lands, the courage to love and forgive can build a future worth fighting for. The years that followed saw Clara and Samuel's story grow from a quiet act of compassion into a legacy that reshaped the very spirit of their frontier community. What began as a fragile bond between a grieving widow and the child of her husband's killer blossomed into a family whose strength lay in forgiveness and unwavering love. The homestead, once vulnerable and isolated, became a sanctuary for those seeking hope amid hardship. Their story, told and retold around campfires and in the shadows of saloons, inspired others to look beyond old wounds and see the possibilities that mercy and acceptance could bring. Yet, the West remained a land of harsh realities, where past grudges simmered beneath the surface and new threats loomed on the horizon. Rival factions and opportunists eyed Clara and Samuel's growing influence with jealousy and suspicion. But the community they had built was no longer fragile. It was fortified by shared sacrifice, trust, and the indomitable spirit of a family forged through hardship. Their strength was not measured in weapons alone, but in the bonds that united them, a force far more resilient than any army. Amid this strength, Samuel emerged as a leader whose wisdom transcended his years. Guided by Clara's example, he embraced the delicate balance between justice and mercy, teaching those around him that true power lies in lifting others up rather than tearing them down. His presence was a beacon of hope, a living reminder that the past does not dictate the future, and that redemption is always within reach when met with courage and love. The farm itself became a symbol of this new era, a place where fences marked not division but protection, where the warmth of shared hearths stood in stark contrast to the cold wilderness outside. Every stone, every tree, carried the imprint of the family's journey, a testament to the extraordinary strength found in forgiveness and the resilience born of compassion. Their story had grown into a legend, a powerful narrative that echoed across the West, inspiring those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. As dusk settled over the endless plains, Clara and Samuel stood together, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. They knew the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but their hearts were steadfast, bound by a love that had conquered hate and a bond that would endure beyond the wildest storms. The final chapter of Clara and Samuel's journey was not marked by grand battles or dramatic showdowns. but by the quiet strength of a family that chose love over revenge and unity over division. Their lives, intertwined by fate and choice, became a testament to the transformative power of mercy in a land too often shaped by violence. As they faced the future together, their story stood as a beacon to all who struggle with grief, hatred, and the scars of the past, proof that healing begins when we open our hearts and embrace the possibility of forgiveness. Their legacy was not just the children raised, the land tended, or the community protected, but the profound truth that family is defined not by blood alone, but by the courage to love without condition. Clara's bravery in taking in a child marked by tragedy and Samuel's willingness to embrace a new life forged a path that many would follow, reminding us that even in the darkest times, compassion can light the way. In the quiet moments beneath the vast, star-filled sky, Clara and Samuel reflected on their journey, a tapestry woven with sorrow, hope, sacrifice, and redemption. They had faced the harshness of the West together and emerged stronger, not just surviving, but thriving through the strength of their bond. Their story was a living legend, passed down through generations, inspiring countless souls to choose mercy in a world too often ruled by vengeance. As the sun rose on a new day, Clara and Samuel looked toward the horizon with hope and determination. Their journey had forever changed them and those around them. It was a reminder that even the wildest frontiers can be tamed, not by force alone, but by the enduring power of love and forgiveness. And so, the woman who took in the child of her husband's killer and the boy who called her mother became symbols of the Old West's greatest truth: that family is chosen, love is powerful, and mercy is the strongest legacy of all. In the rugged and often unforgiving landscape of the Old West, the story of Clara and Samuel teaches us a timeless lesson: that mercy and love hold the power to heal wounds deeper than any bullet and to forge families stronger than blood alone. Their journey, born from tragedy and transformed by compassion, shows that even in the darkest of times, the human heart can choose forgiveness over hate and hope over despair. This is a legacy not only of survival, but of profound courage and unbreakable bonds. Throughout their story, we witness how one radical act of kindness, taking in the child of her husband's killer, sparked a chain reaction that changed lives and communities. It challenges us to reflect on our own capacity for grace and to ask, what bridges could we build if we chose empathy over judgment? Clara and Samuel's path reminds us that true strength lies not in vengeance, but in the willingness to open our hearts and rewrite painful histories. As you carry this story with you, remember that every small choice has the potential to create ripples far beyond what we can see. The power to transform lives often begins with a single courageous act of love, even when the world seems set on division. Their story encourages us all to face our own hardships with kindness, to heal broken ties, and to nurture the families we choose, in whatever form they take. If this journey moved you, consider joining our community by subscribing to the channel, where stories of hope, redemption, and courage come alive. By liking this video and sharing your thoughts in the comments, you help keep the flame of these powerful narratives burning bright, inspiring others to believe in the transformative power of mercy. Your voice matters. Tell us, have you ever experienced or witnessed a moment where forgiveness changed everything? Your story could be the spark that lights the way for someone else. Together, let's build a legacy of compassion, one story at a time.